Hi guys, and welcome back. So we are going to be working on little Sophia again today. So there are some parts of this picture that I'm a little unsure of, like her hair. I don't know what direction I want to go with her hair yet. So today my main goal is I want to try to finish the shell, the little pad that she's sitting on, and I want to start working on her crystals. Real quick, I want to show you guys. I have a lot of people always asking, what kind of sharpener do I use and things like that. And I have some hand crank ones. I have my M&R sharpener, my little brass one that I like. I also like using the Prismacolor one. I'll use that. I just took the base off and just use it as a sharpener in my little tin over here. I also have this Faber Castell one that I like, but the one sharpener that I can never, ever, ever live without is this one. It's a Faber Castell one, and it's the trio where you have, your big hole, your standard, and then you have this little color grip. And I love that color grip, and I'll tell you why. That little circle of a sharpener lets me be frugal, because you guys know that I'm frugal. I like to get the most out of whatever. So I used up the last of my peach today, and I want to show you guys how small it is. Can you see that? Like, it is so super small. I don't have a brand new pencil here, but yeah, it's so tiny. And I got it that way from the color grip. Like, you can see that there's almost no, I can probably sit here if I wanted to and spin it a little bit more. But I normally just keep it in my holder until I just can't sharpen it no more, and this is how it comes out. So this is something that I love, love, love for this reason, because I feel like I get the most out of my pencils all the time. Okay, so we're going to put him over there until he goes to his little glitter heaven. I got a bottle full, and it has like glitter. It's like one of those like double insulated. It has glitter on the in between, and it's just a big water bottle, and I keep all my little nubbies in there. All right, so if you guys can see right here, my kids, I left a picture sitting here, and my kids must have came in here and they got something right there. But I'm not too worried about it, because when I do the background, I'm hoping that gets covered up, and if not, we'll improvise, and because it's a circle, we'll just make that a bubble, and we'll put some extra bubbles around, and no big deal. Gotta roll with the punches of what life gives you, right? Okay, so I also had, real quick, so the colors I'm going to use is I got my mineral orange. I got salmon pink. Oh, sorry. Mineral orange is PC1033. Salmon pink is PC1001. I got eggshell, which is PC140. And I got burnt umber, which is PC947. Those are the 4 colors that I'm going to use. Okay, so I'm going to start this out, and I'm going to chit chat. I had a subscriber who is very, very dear to me. Actually, I'm not going to start this yet, and you'll understand why in a minute. So she sent me this message. She goes, "Girl, I'm trying to follow along with you, but you're not telling me when you're switching pencils, like when I did her tail and her skin," because she's new to skin too. And she's like, "Can you, start saying at least when you switch pencils?" So that is something that I'm going to try to keep in mind and try to do for those of you who do need that help. Otherwise, she'll just keep yelling at me. All right, so let's get to this. So I'm going to start out with my mineral orange. And because the shell's kind of curving up, and no shells are ever the same. Like, there's different colors and there's different variations and patterns and whatever. But I figured what I wanted to do with this one, so I'm just going to take my orange and I'm going to very lightly make some little curvatures. Oh, here, let me zoom you guys in. Maybe you can see what I'm doing. If not at all, you guys can see it all in a minute when it starts getting darker. Okay, so I'm just making some curved lines, and they don't have to like be the same, like it doesn't have to loop around. It can be in different areas if you want to. So I'm just very lightly putting in some curves, and we'll start there, and then I'll I'll start showing you how I'm going to do the rest of it. Okay, so I just put in my little curves. And so with the mineral orange, I'm just going to darken those up. Just very, very lightly. I'll just do these 3 right now. Okay, so I'm sure you guys can start seeing the curves coming out. I think that I want one more there. I think I'm going to. Even though it's getting down in the dark part, but that's okay. And if your curves aren't really curves, like that one's not really a curve, no big deal. Because these things get bashed around all the time on the ocean floor and things like that. Like they get beat up pretty well. And so sometimes, you get like those shells that have cracks in it, or just have worn out areas, and that's pretty much the same principle. So, okay, so that's our mineral orange. So I just did that. Now I'm going to take my salmon pink, and I'm going to just kind of blend it into that orange. To just kind of build that little curvature up just a little bit more. And once you get going on these, it's pretty easy. Okay, now I'm going to take my eggshell. Did I even say eggshell before? PC140, I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to take my eggshell, and I'm just going to very lightly go over everything just to kind of blend that orange out real quick. Because I really don't want the orange to be the show, but I want it to be there because I told you guys that I like that natural kind of color with the aquamarine kind of deal. I'm just babbling now. Okay, so I'm going to go back with my mineral orange, and that's when I'm going to darken up those lines one more time. And then where the dark shadowed area is, like on this picture, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to lightly fill that in. Those real dark shadowy areas. And if you guys remember, this is the same orange that I used in her face. I tend to incorporate the same color pencils as, from one thing to the next. I like incorporating the same pencils on each picture, or tried to at least. Okay, so I'm just deepening up all those little curves. And then I'm going to deepen right around the inside there. I should say the outside of the, you guys know what I'm saying. Okay, so then I'm going to take that salmon pink, and I'm going to fill in those lighter gray areas, but they're still darker than the lights. And then I'm going to go back into that orange again, like we did before, just to blend all that out. Okay. And now from here, bet you can guess the next step. Let's go back in with our eggshell. And that's just where I'm going to kind of blend everything in. Because I do want to keep those a little subdued, if I can. I don't want them to look like super orange. Okay, so after that part's done is when I come in with my my burnt umber. And I am going to just lightly darken up the little crease lines. Just to give it a little bit more pop and it kind of, to me, at least in my eyes, it kind of brings that orange, out, but it doesn't make it like orange. And then I'm going to go underneath each one of those little curves, just very, very lightly with this color. And that's pretty much what we have. So I'm going to do that, the rest of the way here. Now, I got to thinking, especially like on this inside area. So I kind of stared at it and stared at it. I was unsure what I was going to do with it, only because, most of the time the insides of the shells are kind of iridescent looking. And I thought about doing that, and I was going to make it iridescent-y. But then I said, I don't want it to be too much for this picture. Like, that's just how I felt. Like, it might have just been too much, especially with the teal and everything else going on. So I kind of opted to use this same palette that I'm using here on the outer shell for the inside too. Only because then, to me, it's going to be a little bit more cohesive. And again, it's a shell. I can make it whatever color I want. They're all different. I've been thinking about this background a lot too, and what I want to do there, and I kind of have an idea of what I want to try. I'm going to test it out tomorrow and see if it would actually work or not. And if not, that's okay. Then I just do something else. But I still want to test it out. It's always fun, like when you're working with things, to try new things. And if you don't want to ruin your page, try them like on a piece of scrap paper or whatever. I really have been, and I don't know if you guys have ever tried it or not. So oil pastels, you can get cheap, budget-friendly oil pastels off Amazon. And, I don't know if you guys have ever tried them or not, but like they kind of work like crayons. And they're just oily, they're creamy, but they kind of get everywhere. But what I have found, and I'm not going to do it on this page, and that's not why I brought it up, but I was talking about, trying new things. What I have found is they actually work really good if you lay them down and you use like a Gamsol or an odorless mineral spirits. Like I normally use the Mona Lisa. I think that's what it's called, if I use it like on things like that. But yeah, if you put your oil pastel down and then you go in with your Gamsol, your odorless mineral spirits, or whatever, and you kind of rub it out like you do with like a water medium, kind of like, your Neo 2s or things like that. But it actually gives you a really cool effect. And I was really surprised when I was messing around with it, because that's what I do in my free time. I mess around with stuff. Like, I just can't help it. I can't help myself. I look here and I look at my art supplies and I was like, ooh, let me try this. And of course, I have a lot of failures that don't work, but then, I know, okay, well, that doesn't work. But yeah, that does give a really pretty effect sometimes. But again, it's one of those things you have to try and you have to find what works for you. I have a friend of mine who is, well, she's like the Einstein, she's always messing around with stuff and trying to mix this and mix that, and I don't know, like she comes up with these crazy concoctions, and they're absolutely beautiful. She's working on some sprays right now that are gorgeous. that hopefully she'll be shipping to me, so this way I can try them. And well, we can all try them together. But she's yeah, she's thinking about, you know, branding her own. And it's going to be kind of cool, you know, if she opens up a little Etsy shop or whatever, and she does her own thing with the things that she's making. Okay, so let's go back in with the cream, blend this all out. I shouldn't say cream, it's eggshell. Eggshell. Originally, I thought to use the cream, but I figured the eggshell had a little bit more of a yellow tone to it, so that's why I opted for that. Okay, so that's pretty much how the shell is going to look. Very subdued, very natural-ish looking. So we're just going to go in here with our umber. And like that one right there, that line is a little dark, so I'm going to come in and we're going to buff that out. And that's pretty easy to do. You just take your eggshell, you go back over, and if you take too much of the brown out, and you put a little bit back in, and it's just one of those back and forth ordeals. Okay, I just want to... That one's going to bother me a little bit. Okay, so there we go. That is that. Pretty simple. So like I said, we're going to do the same thing with the inside. So, well, actually, I'm going to take... so what I want to do is I want to take the salmon pink. And so where it raises up is where I want my light to be. And then where it dips down, I'm just going to use some of this salmon pink on the lip here. And then we're going to take this eggshell. And then if you wanted to, you can go in with that mineral orange, and you can go right where you put that salmon pink, kind of just over it a little bit. Shouldn't say over, I should say under, to bring that out. Then I'm just going to go back over it all, this eggshell. I just wanted that lip to be a little lighter. I didn't want to put any of those dark colors in there. Okay, so that's supposed to... I'll put that up there. So in this dark area, of course, I'm going to start with my mineral orange. Oh, that's what I wanted to do. Where is that? So I got this deco yellow, and I'm thinking, because I want to kind of make this like light up, so I'm thinking if I just put in a little bit of this deco yellow here up top, and maybe a little bit on her padding here, to just make it kind of look like it's glowing. I don't know, you guys, we're just going to wing this. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. I'm going to go a little bit underneath this lantern here, like it's a shadow. Okay, so let's go back to our salmon pink. And we're going to blend as we go. Okay, to the eggshell. We're going to go right up to that yellow that we put down. But I'm leaving that yellow kind of light because I am going to come in and I'm going to define it a little bit more once I get this part done. So then here on the outside, I'm just going to go salmon pink and then eggshell like that. Okay, so let's do this side. I'm kind of going to go in with this mineral orange and do that whole back section because it's pretty much all in shadow. I kind of fought in my head about what color I wanted to do her little seat, clam, but her little seat. And I was originally gonna go something like bright, and then I was gonna go for like gold. Like I kept going back and forth on what I wanted, but I knew that I was gonna do like this gold, so I didn't want to like everything to be goldish. So what I opted to do, well, what my plan is to make it kind of like a palish pink. We'll see. Okay, let's finish this little around section here. All right, so that part is done. So let's work on her little seat here and see if my plan works out. And if not, well, we're just going to wing it anyway, right? Okay, so let me sharpen this pencil up really quick. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to use that lavender that I used on her face. And I'm just going to take, well, I don't even want to go there because that's where my yellow is. Let me, where's that deco yellow at again? Just want to do just a little bit. Okay. So I'm just going to take this lavender, let me turn it this way, and I'm going to go on just those dark areas. Because I really don't want the lavender to be the star of the show, but I want to use it as like the shadow-ish color. Because again, I like bringing in the colors that I've already used. Because I think, and this is just me and my eyeballs, but I think that when you do that, it kind of brings out the same color in the other areas. Okay, let me go right underneath her legs here. Okay, so then from there, I'm going to switch to the blush pink. And I'm going to, I contemplated putting in the grade lavender right over the lavender to kind of act as a buffer. But I think if I go from lavender to blush pink, it should be okay. We're going to find out. Because the grade lavender, like its name implies, does have like that gray kind of look. And I didn't want it to look kind of dirty underneath. So I was trying to stick with just something light, but I didn't want it to look too dirty. Okay, so then from there I'm going to use Deco Pink. Most of my word is come off, but I think this is Deco Pink PC1014. And I'm just going to go in that really light area. Then I'm going to rinse and repeat. Okay. And you guys know when you color, you don't have to use a gazillion colors. You can just use one. Use two. It don't matter. Okay, so then I'm going to add this Deco Pink in, and then I'm going to blend everything else. And you guys, and I meant to say this when I was doing her face up here. So when I blend around everything, I kind of use like a medium pressure, And then when I get to that light area is when I use a little bit of a lighter pressure. So this way it still saves that highlight area a little bit. Hoping you guys can see. I messed with this earlier a little bit when I was recording another video. So the lighting's a little different. I'm on video. This is my third video of today. Okay. But I'm trying to, on the weekends, I can't really film, actually record, I should say, because, you know, I have the kids and they're crazy and wild, and it just doesn't work, because it's not like I can take out some background noise in my videos if I wanted to in my editing program, but to be honest with you guys, that's just a lot of extra work. And I feel like I do enough work as it is, just being a mom, that I just don't want to take that added step. And it's not because I don't love you guys, it's because I have a lot on my plate anyway. So I try to record when they're sleeping. Rita's going to yell at me, but yeah, it's 4 a.m. again when I'm recording this. So I try to record when they're asleep. So then this way I have them done, and then I just release them at a later time. I wanted to work on this one last night, but I didn't get around to it. And guys, just to let you know, I do sleep. I just sleep in spurts, you know, like I take a nap here for an hour or two, and then I'll take another nap if I need to. And so I do sleep. I just don't sleep a lot. And a lot of it has to do with, like, I'm stressing about Xander and him being sick. So I'm always like on high alert to make sure that I can hear him if something happens, especially because he's been having a lot of accidents lately, bathroom accidents, and it's not pee. And so that really is concerning me. I'm going to take this eggshell here, and I'm going to go right around where this pink is, just to make sure that it kind of melds in with this yellow a little bit. Okay. So that's how I'm going to do that. Now I'm going to put those away. But yeah, so I've been kind of on high alert for him, and I just have problems sleeping anyway. Okay, so then back to this shell, we're going to do this part of the shell the same way we did this inside here. Now when you buy this, if you buy this image from her Etsy shop, it does come in both the dark grayscale, which is what this is, and it comes in a lighter grayscale. I think it's called like advanced. And the lighter grayscale, you can probably get more tones in there. When I record stuff for you guys, I like using the darker one. A, because you can see better, and B, if you haven't done grayscale, and I've been really shocked about how many people haven't done grayscale before. But if you haven't done grayscale, the dark is really nice, because if you're afraid of it, you can literally take one color the whole thing, and all your tones would come out. I prefer using different pencils on most parts. There are some pictures where I don't, like I just use one pencil to bring out, you know, details. But on most parts, I just use the one pencil. Or I use more than one pencil, I should say. But yeah, so I always opt for the darker, just for that reason. If I sit here and I color for just a peace of mind or my own enjoyment, I do like the lighter ones too, just because it's a different feel, it's a different look once it's finished. Just kind of darkening up those lines. Okay, salmon pink. So yeah, I would like to know, how many of you have never tried grayscale, or how many of you prefer grayscale over line art? I know when I first started coloring, I wanted nothing to do with grayscale. Like, I was a line art girl through and through. Like, that's all I wanted to color. And it wasn't until it was Christine Karen, actually, her grayscale books. I believe the first one that I got grayscale was Benny Blue. And I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. How different tones you can get and things like that. I'm like, oh, I really like coloring, this grayscale. And then I just kind of got hooked. And I wouldn't say that I like grayscale more than line art, but I do appreciate the grayscale, and I appreciate the artist taking the time to make it grayscale. Because I know a lot of the artists, they actually sit there and shade it out. They with their pencil drawings, they sit there and they shade it all so that it becomes grayscale. So yeah, I appreciate, that, but then I also appreciate the different effects that you get. I want to bring this salmon pink down just a little bit on some of these. So this way that light eggshell is just going up the center. And if you feel like you need to darken or whatever after you put down everything, then do it. Do what feels good to you or what is visually pleasing. Long as it's you on a page, then you're good to go. There is a subscriber that she's so sweet, and I've been seeing her around more. She's normally really super quiet, but she's always like, oh my god, I color so bad. She's like, my grandkids color better than me. I color like, a 2-year-old. And I'm always like, it doesn't matter. Like, who cares, man? As long as you're having fun, then it doesn't matter what it looks like. And I always say, when you're feeling down about your pictures and you're just like, oh, I don't know, I don't like it, because as always, we are our worst critics. To go and put it on Instagram, I kid you not. Like, so on Instagram, number one, they can't thumb you down. Like, they can't give you a thumbs down. Number two, if you're afraid of somebody making like a horrible comment, then just put your stuff on private and only accept people that or people that aren't going to be ignorant. But go and put your work on Instagram, because it gives you a confidence boost. You start making friends on there, or following people that artists or illustrators or whatever. For me, like, I follow a lot of colorists. I follow watercolorists. I like following, sketch artists, and even like books, because I love to read. So I'll follow them too. But yeah, put your stuff up there, because I guarantee you, as those likes start rolling in and people start giving you all those little hearts, it boosts your confidence level. Because you're like, oh, okay, maybe it really wasn't that bad, or, whatever it is. I don't know if I'm starting to get a cold or what's going on, but I've been kind of sniffly lately, but I don't have like any cold symptoms. So I'm hoping we're going to get some nasty weather. It's actually pouring outside right now. Like, it's so wet and so rainy. I had to run out today to a few towns over, and it was just like misting. And by the time I got home, it was pouring. I was like, oh, I didn't want to deal with this. Luckily, I was already in the house, but Ricky still had to go to work. But yeah, and then it's going to all turn to ice. And what's funny is because I live right on the river, like I'm like 3.5 blocks from the river and the Illinois River. And there's already, like we haven't had rain in a while. It just started raining today and already they were putting out the flood warnings and the watches and things like that. And I'm like, good God, how much rain are we really going to get? And it's because we're supposed to get a lot of ice and snow this weekend. So they're calling for, the last time I checked, they were calling for 4 to 7 inches of snow. And I don't know where you guys live, if you have farmers or not, but around here, farmers are everywhere. But the farmers are saying that we're supposed to get closer to a foot of snow. And if you know any farmers, they pretty much, when they say, something's going to happen, they pretty much know. It's like they keep track of that stuff because of, their crops and things like that. Let me sharpen that. So I'm thinking, oh my God, if we really get a foot of snow, I don't even want to imagine. I had a craving today for cashews. Like I wanted cashews so bad. So I sent Ricky to the store and he's like, he comes home and he goes, never, ever send me to the store again for anything when we're getting bad weather. And I was like, why? And he's like, because those people are crazy. He's like, literally. He's like, the guy in front of me, they were like all buying like water and milk and eggs and toiletries and things like that, like things to make it through this storm that we're supposed to get, or this bout of bad weather. He's like, that guy spent $200. He goes, at Dollar General. And I couldn't help but just laugh. Like I just laughed. And he's like, never again. He goes, you better go and you need to just wait for your cashews. So yeah, I'm like, oh God, I really, really hope that it doesn't get that bad. Especially because I fight with my kids already about dressing properly. Zayden, it could be 25 degrees outside and he'll just wear a hoodie and he's like, no, Mom, I'm fine. And I'm like, no, you're going to get sick. You need to dress properly. Get your hat on, get your gloves on. He's like, no, I'm fine. And so I'm always fighting with them. And then when it's snowing outside, I try to make sure that they wear their snow pants and their snow boots, and half the time they don't even want to do that. Then they come in and they're soaking wet and they're freezing. And we got a little space heater up here, and so they come and they stand in front of the space heater to get warmed up. And I'm like, this is why I tell you guys have to dress properly. And when they leave the house, they normally are. And it's when they come home that they aren't. Or they'll come home like, Mom, I can't feel my hands. They're freezing. Yeah, I know they are. And whose fault is that? Because you had gloves when you left. It's like they can't understand that cold. I mean, that cold is not good. You can get frostbite and you need to stay warm. No, they just want to go and go and go. But yeah, I'm kind of dreading the weekend if it's going to get that bad. I think this is all shell down here. So I'm just going to go in with this mineral orange. When you don't know, just do whatever. Do whatever you think that it is. That's what I do, at least. So I've been really getting into, well, you guys know if you've been around, like I love coloring flowers. But there's this artist out there and I'm thinking about doing a series with his, and I was kind of going back and forth because in December I am doing winter florals, which doesn't mean you have to do like actual winter florals. It's, for any kind of florals. But so I was wondering about if I wanted to save it for them, But I think that I might go ahead and make like this little monthly small series because I really like some of his designs. I'm almost done here, you guys, I promise. I just seen where I wanted it a little darker in some areas because there was just a little too much of that salmon pink. I also want to know if you guys are the type to blend with your pencils or what your preferred blending method is, whether it's with odorless mineral spirits, a blending pencil, a Q-tip, anything like that. I mean, I've tried them all, and for me, like I said, I always go to just blending with my pencil, and I don't care what brand of pencils it is. Every now and then, I will pull out my Caran d'Ache full stick blender if I really am struggling with a blend, but more times than not, I just use the pencils. You know, everybody has their different coloring styles, and I absolutely love hearing what people do and how they get their finishing touches on their picture, or how they get, you know, their effects. It's like when I'm checking on Instagram and just scrolling through the pictures, and some of them are just absolutely gorgeous. I think to myself, wow, how did they get that effect? Because you wonder, you know, what they used, if they used pencils or if they blended it out, because some of them just look so smooth. Now, I know like a lot of people use now like digital filters and things like that, and that's something that I don't do, but I just find it real interesting, and I always want to ask, but I never do. Oh, speaking of which, so I bought a book, a digital PDF off of Etsy the other day, and I'm trying to think of the name of it. Like the artist's name is like, it starts with an M. It's this long, somewhat long. I think it's like a Chinese or Japanese name. Anywho, so I was reading, you know how they have like their copyrights and you have to follow the rules and things like that. And, you know, you can share it with, you know, family, or you can share it with your kids, but you can't, you know, distribute it and things like that. But what I found was that was interesting was, and it was the first time that I ever seen this before, is they grant you permission that you can actually sell the finished pieces, like at craft fairs and things like that. It says that as long as they are hand colored by you, that you can sell them at craft fairs. And I was just like, wow, that's really cool, but I've never ever seen that before. And there was another one that I read that it stated that you cannot color it digitally. Like, you cannot like put it in like Procreate and things like that. You cannot color it digitally or use digital filters on it. And I just thought that was really, just really unique, because I've always kind of read them, but just kind of skimmed over them. I didn't actually get down into the nitty gritty and really seen what they said until that one, because it just kind of caught my eye, and I was like, so then I started reading more and more and different artists, and you know, each one gives you different guidelines. So yeah, so check that out sometimes when you're getting your PDFs or your coloring books, what their guidelines are. Because as I was reading, I was realizing that each artist is different. Okay, I'm just going to deepen some of these areas up real quick. Okay, and I'm just going to go back in with this eggshell and just blend that all in. Okay, so that is, oh, I missed this over here. This is going to be our little Sophia in her shell. See, I would have missed that. I would have taken a picture and then I would have been like, oh, I forgot that. All right, but I think I got it all now, pretty much. Okay, so that's where we are so far. Now I'm going to start on these little crystals. Okay, so first I'm going to start, and I'm only going to do a few, just so you guys can get an idea of how I'm going to do it, and then we're going to call it a night, because right now I'm at about 45-ish minutes. Okay, so remember I told you these little round things, like I felt like they were like kelp in the sea? I need to sharpen this up real quick. So how I'm going to do that is I got two colors picked out, and I got kelp green, and I got celadon green. And I'm just going to take this kelp green, and I had to have it pretty sharp because these are tiny, but there's like a little line. There's these little lines, and I'm just going to, you know, put some dark around the edges, right around the lines. And honestly, I mean, all you're really going to see is like green bits up there. But I kind of like telling my mind that I did put a contrast in there. I did make them different because then it just tricks my eyes into seeing it differently. And I know that may sound stupid, but that's how my mind works. Okay, and then I'm just going to take the celadon green, and we're going to just blend that all in. Now all of the gems and all of this kelpy stuff is going to be done the same. So we'll do a few gems, and then I will let you guys go for the evening. We'll come back. By then I should have a hair color picked out. We'll work on this lantern, and if we have enough time, which we should, we'll work on the background too. Okay, so see, I just kind of did green kelpy stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, let me sharpen all my stuff here, you guys, really quick. So I have the blush pink again, Deco pink, and then I'm going to take my light aqua and my, what color is this? Light green. So those are the colors that I'm going to be using. And let's see if I can bring you guys in just a little bit. See that? To me, that's looking blurry. Let me autofocus it. We'll see. I want to try it up on these big ones, and maybe you guys can see what I'm doing. So I'm not really worried about lights and things like that, especially when it comes to crystals, because the light passes through and you get all these kind of different things going on. So how I'm going to do it is, so I'm going to take my blush pink, which is my darkest pink, and I'm just going to make like little areas, just different colors. And I'm going to try not to put it like in the same areas. So I'm just kind of haphazardly throwing it in. Some of them can be in big spots, some of them can be in little spots. It really doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm done with that color. Then I'm going to go with my light pink. And it doesn't even have to be with the pink if you don't want to. I mean, you can put it in. You can omit it from a side if you want to. You guys can put in as much or as little as you want. So then we're going to go in with this light aqua. And this is the only time that you don't see me blend. Like, I don't blend here. I just kind of put next to each other and leave it. But I do use pretty light pressure because they are crystals. Normally they're not like super dark. I'll put a little bit of this stuff up here. Okay, and then I'm going to take my light green and I'm just going to go in and finish off all the little white areas that I left. Where's my brush? Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see that or not. I'm going to do one more and then I'm going to hold it up and maybe you guys can see it better. And I'm sure that there's a better method and that somebody does it different. This is just how I like doing it. Mindless coloring. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but it's just like splotches of color. And then when I'm done with that, I take okay, so I'll take a 5, or I got 5s and I got 8s. I prefer using the 5, but my 5s sometimes just don't like working very much. So sometimes I got to use the 8. So then I just go, see, it's just not wanting to go over that black. Okay, let's try this one. I just go over all of those black lines. And then when you're, and you can do this part like when you're done with your entire picture, which is the best way to do it. Because then as you go along, you can put in like little shine marks. And so normally I don't do this part until like I have my background done and the hair, like everything. Even after I finish it all and I figure out if her skin is where I'm going to be, like I do all of that before I do any of this detail work. But I kind of just wanted to show you guys how I do it. And when I do come back for my next one, all of those will be done. Just to let you know. But the white probably won't be. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but that is how I'm going to do all the crystals up here, including the ones on her neck. And I am going to, this little collar-y thing here, I am going to treat it like it's kelp-ish. So, okay, that is where I'm going to leave you guys at today. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully we'll get this picture done pretty soon. I know that it was kind of, I didn't do much today, but we chit-chatted a bit. And I will see you guys all next time. Everybody, good night. I'm going to try to get an hour and a half of sleep in before Ricky comes home. And I will see you guys all next time. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And talk soon. Bye.